Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Now, with new cases of Ebola reported in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the World Health Organization says officials are now concerned the virus will spread beyond the DRC. But some new drugs are being deployed to fight the deadly virus. Viewers Kevin Enochs reports.
The DRC government approved the use of new drugs to fight Ebola in June. Aid workers fighting the virus say they're thankful for the help, but also very aware they're using drugs that have not been approved for widespread use.
So I will say there's a mix of emotions when you go into the Ebola treatment unit and deliver one of these therapeutics. On one hand, you're incredibly nervous because not many people have given these drugs before, and not many people have received them. But on the other hand, there's a sense of excitement and a sense of hope because for the first time we have something that we can use to directly fight against the virus.
Hope is something that's hard to come by when it comes to Ebola. When it first came on the scene, over 80% of those who contracted the virus died. Aggressive therapies and drugs like the ones being administered in the DRC have helped cut that mortality rate to about 50%.
I think this really represents a paradigm shift in our treatment approach to Ebola virus disease. And it really represents that next step after more aggressive supportive care. Now we have the opportunity to give these therapeutics that potentially could act against the virus. So for me, this really represents a monumental step forward in terms of what we have available to patients with this disease.
As of October 1st, about 47 people have received the new treatments, and the World Health Organization says they are getting the new drugs to patients within hours of their diagnosis with the deadly Ebola virus. Kevin Enochs, VOA News.
Malaria is the #1 infectious disease killer in Uganda, which has the world's highest malaria incidence. But one entrepreneur is tackling that problem with a long-lasting mosquito repellent soap. She makes and sells the product to both high-end and local communities where it is most needed. Take a look.
Growing up in an orphanage, Joan Nalubega regularly suffered from malaria. That motivated her to create a range of soaps to help tackle the disease that remains Uganda's #1 killer. The finished product is sold at a high margin to resorts, lodges and high-end hotels, so she can subsidize the soap for local communities. In a workshop in Mpinga district in central Uganda, she makes her soaps by mixing sodium hydroxide with either palm or olive oil before adding various other oils and a repellent component, including citronella and lavender. She started the business after attending the Social Innovation Academy, an organization that educates orphans, street children, refugees, and other disadvantaged youth.
As I was a child, I used to face malaria a lot as a disease. So I grew up with this inspiration to come up with an intervention to prevent malaria. And so when I joined SINA, and through the mentorship and the coaching, I was like, I grew up with this motivation, though it seems impossible, let me find a possibility for it to come to life.
According to the World Health Organization, Uganda has one of the highest transmission rates of malaria in the world. WHO says there were 9.4 million confirmed cases in 2017 and 5,111 deaths. Malaria also accounts for 40% of visits to outpatient departments at public health facilities. Joan says she came up with the idea after seeing that most malaria repellent products on the market, such as sprays, were more available to tourists and not in local communities where they are most needed.
I saw that there are solutions on the market, like the sprays and everything, but they're targeted for tourists and this other market, and yet the people who live in the problem are not cared for. So that's where I wanted to go to these people who are not catered for. So I talked to different mothers, because mostly children below the age of 5 suffer from malaria. I talked to different mothers in Mpigi, in the rural community where I stay, and so I used to interact with them a lot, and I could ask them, which product you think can be accessible. We are looking for a product that they can access easily, a product that is easy to use, and a product that every household uses. That's why we made a soap, and we decided to to put our repellent component in a soap, because you use soap, right? Every household uses soap.
The entrepreneur says her aim is to reduce the burden of malaria in Uganda by 20% over the next 5 years, and remains in contact with hospitals and members of the community to monitor the effect her soap is having.
Well, a film festival in Kenya this month highlighted a group not often seen on the big screen, refugees. The festival, organized by the non-profit group Film Aid in collaboration with Amnesty International, screened a selection of short films about exile and identity, some produced by refugees themselves. Raylon Boer reports.
One of the films showcased at this festival is The Other Dadaab, a 5-minute documentary by Abdirazak Jamal Shaya on realities of the Dadaab refugee camp located in northwestern Kenya.
But that is only one side of the story.
The camp near Somalia border is the world's largest refugee settlement with a population of close to 500,000 refugees. The documentary showcases Dadaab as a virtual city with its own socio-economic dynamics as opposed to a transient settlement. Mark Maine is the creator of another film shown at the festival, Neophobia, which tells the story of a woman obsessed with old routines.
Provide new content for television networks that lacked it.
He was present for the screening of The Other Dadaab.
I'm really glad for Film Aid that they've closely given us how it is for those in the camps, the kind of lives they live, the kind of suffering that they go through.
Film Aid International is a non-profit humanitarian group that uses movies and media to raise awareness of social issues. It holds annual film festivals in Kenya to empower, inform and inspire refugees and other marginalized populations. This year's screenings took place in Dadaab and Kakuma refugee camps, in addition to Nairobi. Stella Suje is Film Aid's country director.
There are various things that we hope to achieve. One is that people can actually see the faces of refugees, which is largely presented as a statistic. So to encounter those faces and to get a sense of who they are, their humanity, and to share that. And then secondly, we want to actually start to be in dialogue with Kenyan nationals who have actually been hosting refugees for a long time without a clear understanding of what it means.
Wamboi Mombi attended the screening held at IMAX Cinema in Nairobi.
The main lesson, or the main thing I've picked, is that we shouldn't segregate refugees. We shouldn't treat them like they are a different species. Because at the end of the day, we are all people, we're all human. The struggles they go through, they're the same things. Kenyans, like if you're born in Kenya, you live in Kenya, it's the same struggle you will go through.
The film screenings in the camps and in Nairobi were complemented by panel discussions with topics focusing on refugee stories and perceptions.
Be proud of your track record. You have hosted.
More films like The Other Dadaab may be on the way as Film Aid programs train more than 50 refugees annually on filmmaking. Raylon Boer for VOA News, Nairobi.
Well, and that's our show for today. You can also visit us online at voaafrica.com. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington, and Ngagodo has our last word from Lagos.
Thanks, Vincent. We look forward to bringing you another show next week. ChannelsTV.com is your source for news, sports, and programming. I'm Anne Nwawodo. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.